This watch here, my father gave to me in 1957 before I was about to go to Russia on a scholarship to the Soviet Union to study engineering there. So he felt, well, I am a high school kid. I never had a watch. In Egypt, they don't have watches in high schools like here in America. But now that I'm about to go to college overseas, he said, you gotta have a watch and I'm gonna go get you a watch. So he went and bought me this watch. Now 1957, now we're 2005, means it's about 48 years ago.
From a very young age, I began to fear a day when I would no longer have my parents in my life.
And in 2 years, I said, my gosh, I will have had this watch for half a century.
Because from a very young age, I came to realize that even adults did not have all the answers for what came after death.
And this watch, my father-in-law gave to me. The question came up when you were very, very, very young, and the plan was to educate you on the religion of your father and mother, which is Islam and Christianity, and then leave the decision up to you as you grow up into the world here.
Of course, as a child, I wanted to be Christian like my mom, so I would be like my best friend in the first grade. She had once asked me what my religion was. And when I said I didn't have one, she said, everyone has a religion. Then she said, you must be Catholic, because if you're not Christian, you're Catholic. I would try over and over again to prove to my dad that Jesus was really the Son of God, as it seemed the rest of America believed. And if I could prove this to my dad, we could be a normal family like everyone else. But even from an early age, I recognized that the world was more than America.
Look at me, Nabi.
People that don't live in our country and they die too.
This is my father's brother, Farag, during his last days at the age of 49. Oftentimes, I fear the day when my father will die.
What's that, Nabi?
It's the heart.
The heart?
Yeah?
What does that symbolize?
Family members die, but then the love remains. I could see and I could feel what my father, for example, told me when he was alive, and my mother.
He made it back to Egypt just before his mother breathed her last breath.
That love is what really makes it as if they really didn't go away. They're still there. I think that love doesn't die. This is what keeps us with the hope that we will get back again, and that this is a continuity of life, is through the boundaries, through that barrier of death. Death is just a transition.
There are too many unanswered questions to go through this life alone. There are moments when it is terrifying to not know what came in the beginning and what comes after this place that is supposed to be so normal.
Why? Why? What for? Because Sami wants to see you. Why? I'm very old man. What for? Your wife.
We can only find normalcy in the fraction of it that we understand. But the rest of the unknown buries us in our graves. And we say goodbye without knowing where we are going, or if there is even anywhere to go. or any form to be after our bodies have disintegrated into dust.
Are we here just an accident of nature, or are we really here because we're created, there is a God that's helping us through this life? At one time, I burned my hand on a stove, suddenly hot, and that was when it struck me that I thought that there's no way in the world that a human can commit a sin or a crime so bizarre and so horrible that it would justify his or her burning in hellfire forever. So I put myself to a challenge. I said, if I'm going to read the Quran, and if that is the word of God, if there is any inconsistency in it, just one inconsistency, I'm going to turn atheist.
And if there is nothing after life on earth, are our lives only worth what we make of them while we are here? How we impact the world, what we leave behind? Is there nothing afterwards? Or is there some form of closure to all the madness and inadequacies of a world dominated by humanity? Who has the answers? Not even my dad can prove anything is true, as much as I would like him to.
Well, this is why I went on this 20 years of research. It was to do a search for the truth, to read into areas like, say, of cosmology. I'm a materials and mechanical engineer, but I'm going to read cosmology. I ran off to Caltech, just like hungry, and wanted to learn about the world around me. Also, I wanted to look into theology, because, okay, well, what's the story from religion? So I kept on reading and reading. I came to the final conclusion that, well, if there is a word of God, if there is God, first of all, he can just ignore us completely. And for 20 years now, I've been at it, and I tell you, I haven't found the inconsistency yet in the Quran. And I'm still doing the studying, and I'm still trying to hopefully publish my works to get the findings out for people.
So this is why I'm recording as much as I can of his research and advice. So I always have some part of him when I am lost, when I am afraid to die.